Well, hello there. It's Greggy Soriano, and today I'm going to show you guys how to make an Ooey-Gooey apple pie Blitz Torte. And it is not just an itty bitty Blitz Torte, it is a Blitz Torte. It is huge. You guys are going to learn how to make a classic Blitz Torte, taken up a gazillion notches with an apple pie filling, and I also put some pumpkin pie spice in there instead of just plain old cinnamon. And I'm also going to show you how to make the Ooey-Gooey part, which is a Sabayone, or Sabayon, and it's spelled S-A-B-A-Y-O-N, or Z-A-B-A-G-L-I-O-N-E, the Italian way, which is Zabaglione, or Sabayone. It is delish! It's so good! I seriously can't wait to show you guys. You're gonna learn all these tips and tricks right here today on Greggy's Digest. Let's get started. Right here I'm preparing my stainless steel rings, and they're actually used for mousse cakes primarily, but I love to use them to actually bake the cake in them, and I just prepare it by putting some foil on the bottom and cutting out some parchment circles and using some nonstick spray and placing the circles on the bottom. First, we're starting off with the cake part of the Blitz Torte, and this is 3 cups of flour, 2 cups of sugar, a half a cup of non-fat dry milk, a tablespoon of baking powder, and a half a teaspoon of pink Himalayan sea salt. And just get your paddle attachment and pulse it like this. Pulse, pulse, pulse. And mix it on a very low speed. And I love doing this because it aerates your dry ingredients and it mixes it really well and makes sure all the baking powder and all those ingredients are well combined. Add a half a cup of veggie oil, 3 huevos, and I actually like to crack my eggs right onto the table versus cracking them on the side of the bowl, because somehow it's an even, clean cut and you don't get any eggshells into your batter. 1 1/4 cups of H2O, aka water. 1 teaspoon of pure almond extract, and this is by Sonoma Syrup Company, which I love, and 2 teaspoons of pure vanilla extract, and they actually have a vanilla bean crush, which I love. They have little flecks of vanilla bean in them, and it is amazing. Pulse it and gradually increase the speed, and mix away. You want to avoid over-mixing it, and always, 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 whenever you bake, stop the mixer and scrape the bottom. That is the #1 golden rule to making cakes or using any batters. Stop and scrape the bottom of the bowl. Then set this little baby to the side. In another bowl that is really sterile, super clean, and dry, add 1 cup of egg whites, 1 cup of granulated sugar, a half a teaspoon of baking powder. Start mixing and gradually increase your speed to the highest setting and make sure it is a stiff peak. And I also added some vanilla as well and a pinch of pink Himalayan sea salt. Avoid over whipping it as well. Our stainless steel cake ring 20s are back, and we are filling it with some batter and just evenly as possible trying to fill the batter. and I'm topping it with the meringue that we just made, and I'm saving just a little bit for one more layer that I'm going to show you in just a sec. I'm just spreading it around, just making sure it's even. It doesn't have to be super smooth, but just make sure it's somewhat even. And then here's some cashews that I'm putting on top. Tent them with foil and bake them at 350 degrees Fahrenheit until a toothpick comes out clean. Then remove the tops and bake several minutes more until the tops become slightly browned and crisp on the edges, but still fluffy and soft in the middle. Right here is the leftover meringue, and I used a cake ring as my stencil and baked this at 350 degrees Fahrenheit until it is nice and browned on top, fluffy in the middle, and a little crisp on the edges. Right now we're about to make our apple pie filling, and we are starting off with 4 medium apples, and I made a mix of green apples and red delicious apples. I like to mix them up with some tart and sweet apples, and I made sure I cubed them pretty much even sizes so that they cook evenly. Add 3 tablespoons of water. A third a cup of sugar. 2 tablespoons of butter. 1 teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice. Oh, doesn't fit. Gotta do it this way. I love using pumpkin pie spice because it just makes it a little bit more interesting than just plain old cinnamon, because there's ginger and clove in there, and it just makes it a lot more yummier. A smidge of pink Himalayan sea salt. You notice the trend of pink Himalayan sea salt that I keep using during baking. I just love using it. It just gives it a lot more interesting flavor, and it brings it out a lot more, I feel like. And it's better than just using plain old iodized salt. Continue to cook the apples on a medium-low heat. Cook them until they're tender, and add 2 tablespoons of cornstarch and 2 tablespoons of water. You want to make sure you cook out the starch in the cornstarch, so cook it for about 1 to 2 minutes. Place it in a separate container and add some vanilla extract to it, about a teaspoon. And I like adding it after because it tends to get bitter if you cook it with the apple pie filling, and that rule goes for anything else that you cook. Always add the vanilla after. And right now we are making our sabayon, or zabayon. This sauce is delicious on top of bread pudding. Oh my goodness, I cannot begin to tell you how good it is. With some framboise in it, oh, forget about it. Any hoodle, this is how you make it. I've added 8 egg yolks, 1 can of condensed milk, and a teaspoon of pink Himalayan sea salt on a double boiler, and I'm vigorously mixing it until it gets nice and frothy and a nice ribbon as you lift your whisk up or your spatula up, and it drips into it, and it makes an imprint, which is called a ribbon, that falls into the actual mixture. And I'm placing it in another separate container, and I'm putting some cling wrap directly onto it so it doesn't create a skin, and labeling it Sabayon. Check out this little beautimous meringue that came out of the oven. It's nice and fluffy and soft and crisp on the edges. Guys, look at these little twinnies, my little blitzes. This is how I tented them before placing them in the oven. And I tented them because I want it to bake a little bit better instead of the meringue baking first. So you want to tent them and make sure the cake is baked underneath, and then remove it and then bake the rest of it so that the meringue browns on the top. Now I'm assembling it, putting my Sabayon sauce on it.
and then some apple, and then another layer, and more Sabayon sauce, and more apple, and then I put a skewer or a straw in the middle, just so that it stays put. And that's a little trick when you make cakes. You always want to make sure you put a dowel in the middle so that it stays put, and some meringues, and there you have it. Apple pie Blitz Torte.
I need a bigger fork. That's bomb cheese. Seriously, guys, FYI, let me put this down. It's so heavy. If you want to propose to me, guys, take note. Put the ring in that, and you will definitely put a ring on it, because I will say yes, and I will cry. I will do the ugly cry and everything. You get bits of apple pie filling with the vanilla bean cake and with the meringue on top. That's pillowy with a little bit of crispiness on it, and there's cashews on it that just forget about it. Forget about it. It is delish. Just don't count the calories. It's the holidays, guys, so really enjoy the food that is presented on the table. It's no time for diets. Diet schmiet. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe if you like this video. Press the like button, speaking of like, and comment down below and share the video. And go to GreggySoriano.com to subscribe to Caker's Crate, which is a monthly subscription box company that sends you some of my favorite baking items right to your door every month. I guess I'll talk to you later. Bye!
Click on the cute little bumblebee to subscribe, click on the video to view my last episode on the right, and visit my website at www.GreggySoriano.com. Oh, and follow me on social media in the description links down below. Thanks!